Hey folks, Jonathan here. I figured I would take a break from sheet metal work today, and we're going to mix this up a little bit so I don't get so disgusted with what I'm doing. Got a lot more to do, but I mean, it's coming along. We're going to mount the steering box today. That's what we're going to do. Take a little break on the sheet metal, jump on that, and maybe spend the day of doing that. Okay, I did find a pitman arm. It's kind of big, but we're going to do some changing on it anyway, but that's what I needed. And as for the box, this is one of the boxes that came off the Jacobson mowers that I took the diesels out of. So this is what we're going to use and make work, but you see the mounts on top. But the plan is to put the mount on bottom and run spacers. So, and I've done that on the other car the same way, except I've done it inside the cowl where the steering comes out. We're gonna do this one on the frame. We've got plenty of length here. What are you doing, Nana? And so we may get that mounted today. May pull this wheel off. I get to work on the steering arm that comes off of the spindle. And I think that's what we're going to dedicate our day to, steering. And we'll go from there. Alright? Okay folks. Playing around with the box where I want to mount it. Got to make a bracket for it. Now I've tightened the box up. If you loosen up this outer nut, tighten the center one, that'll take your end play out there. And then of course your lock nut and your screw in the center will take your end play out here. And I like to do that with no steering wheel or anything on it. That way, that shaft you still should be able to turn by hand. If it gets to where it's too tight to turn by hand, then you know there's an issue. So we got this one tightened up good. So this is all going to work. I'm going to change around the arm some, which is not a big issue. So what I've got to do, I cut the arm off. Okay. Originally, this arm was down there, and of course you can see it's not going to clear. So here's the plan. I'm going to build one that actually bolts right here where the backing plates bolts to the spindle and comes out on each side, and then of course comes in. So what I've done, taking it apart, taking the bolts out. Now what this has got is two 3/8 fine thread bolts. That's all that holds it on. The plan is to drill the hole out and run 1/2-inch socket head cap screws through, and that way I'll have clearance for the heads to be able to tighten them up, but we'll increase the size. That way we don't have to worry about strength. And like I said, we'll come in and then we'll add whatever we need to add to hook up our steering arm. Okay, so here's what I'm using. 3/4 plate. And here's the plan. We're going to basically cut out a V or a U shape so it will actually go all the way in. And then the fun part's going to be getting a good measurement center to center, which I can do that from here. And then we'll have to drill the holes on the end and then tap them, come in from this side. So once we get that done, then we can figure out our profile of what we want on top and how we want to do it. Now what I'd like to do is somehow mount this end on here. So V it out until I come to this end and get it where I can weld it on there really well. That way I can actually use this taper. I don't think I've got any tapered reamers, and I think most of these are about 7 degree, I think. Don't hold me to that, but that would get my arm right to fit the 36 Plymouth tie rod end. And then I would go back there to the 36 Plymouth and take the arm off of the steering box, and I would have the shaft and the arm, and then I can cut and put together the pitman arms to make a decent pitman arm, and then extend the rod I need to extend. I'm sure it's going to be longer than what it is to come up here, but the ball joint would fit right in there, and it was in good shape, so that's why I'm considering using that stuff. But anyway, let's see what we can get figured out with this plate first. Draw it out and start cutting her out here. Alright, okay, so I decided to go ahead and machine it instead of torch it. So now I'm going to put an end mill in, and I'm just going to cut back and forth until we get it how we want it. So it'll be U-shaped, of course, but we'll keep working with it. Does anyone know how to put the smoke back in one of these boxes? Woo. Yeah, I think she's had it. Kind of box. I bought this a long time ago, and when I hooked it up, it wasn't worth a crap from day one, and they wouldn't give me another box, and they wouldn't give me my money back, but they gave me part of my money back, which wasn't much good. But anyway, just sitting here smoking away. I might go back to work, and you never know. Don't buy China stuff. There was something on here that didn't even spell right. Yeah, safe it. They don't even know how to spell safety. So anyway, this is a fire hazard for sure. Yeah, the biggest piece of crap I think I've ever bought off eBay. So it's a Welding. Ain't nobody winning off this thing. Alright, okay, so we had to do it by hand. Go off there, not the prettiest work, but we can handle that. You never see it when I'm done. Alright, looks she's gonna work. We may have to cut that out just a little bit down in for the grease fitting and put a 90 on it facing up. And we've got a cut, which I've already got marked here. We've got a cut on each side here to be able to get it to clear all the way up, but I think that's going to do it. I may have to round these corners over just a little bit where it goes up to that spindle. So anyway, we'll keep at it. I think it went a little bit up too far on this one, that's why it's cut in, but nothing a Dremel wouldn't, or a deburn bit won't take care of, make it look good. So this is what we've got so far. I didn't cut that deep enough for the grease fitting, but everything went on good. And now we just need to cut or machine through there and through here. But I just wanted to see how it would do and make sure it would turn okay. Of course, we're just fine with clearance. Our bolts just cleared. Socket head cap screws, so now we're up from 3/8 to a 1/2 inch on the bolts. So I feel comfortable there. And you know, they'll be Loctited in, of course, and make sure that they don't ever move. So we're gonna go deeper with this groove and get this cut out. Okay, so I went and pulled the arm off of the Plymouth, and it's in good shape. It's got a lot of dirt and stuff on it, a lot of built-up road tar, so we're gonna clean this off real quick. And I guess when I let it down, it jammed us down in the ground. So let's get her cleaned up and see what we got to work with here. Okay. I'm wondering why this thing has so much stuff on it. I see why now. It's got some kind of a strap on it that holds the boot on, and goes around the grease fitting. Pretty intricate. Couldn't put nothing like that on a car nowadays. It costs way too much to do that. It's pretty neat though. It looks like it's got a leather cover that, or a leather boot. So we're gonna take it off. We're not gonna run it on what we got here, so, but I just thought it was pretty neat. Okay, just torched it out real quick, and then I threw it up on the mill and straightened it out just a little bit. You know, we're gonna grind it and round the corners over and all that good stuff anyway. Got it about where I want it. This is our steering arm. We're going to put it on the end, and I'm going to go ahead and machine it out And I'm going, well, I will check distance, but I don't think it's that big of a deal because that box is going to move way farther than what we're going to be able to move here. I already know that. So but anyway, the plan is to add that piece on the end of here, big side up, and I think I'll machine inside of it, cut this off, and then push this in it, and like I said, then we'll weld it up and go from there. Alright, we're going to keep at it until we get this thing done. Alright. Okay folks, getting ready to weld. Bored the hole, tapered it in. Got a hole in each side just like that, and then we're going to weld it around it. I got my place for the grease fitting out, you know, a little bigger. Should be clear, so once I get done here, I'll grind everything the way that I want it. But looking good so far. Let's weld it up. Okay, so we got the plug welds done, and we've welded both sides up top. And we're going to do turn on the side. I'm going to fill this entire slot up with weld on each side, and then when we grind this will grind at an angle, and that'll stay there. So like I said, when we're done here, this piece will never ever come off. Alright folks, there we go. You know, if you want to get it any straighter than this or any better than this after you've ground it, if you use a file on it, you can get this stuff looking really good. It actually, when you're done, it would look like it was all done, you know, on a CNC machine. Now, I may have to go even more down here at the corner on this grease fitting, but this is not a big issue. I'm still going to put a 90 on it and bring it up this way. So that will take care of that, because I don't think I'd ever get one on it if I didn't. I mean, I could go down farther, but I don't want to go too far. So anyway, there it is hooked up. You can see what it looks like. It's all ground. It all looks like one piece now instead of you know, different pieces. But you know, remember now, that's plug welded good. It'll never come out. I mean, it's just not going to happen. There's a lot of weld there. Even though I ground it smooth, there's a lot of weld still there. I mean, it's not where you've welded it and then ground your weld off. So with the plug welds and with the welds here on these shoulders, it's going to turn out just fine. So I like our arm, no problems there. Of course, we're going to have to extend it, and what I'll do is take between this arm and this one, and we'll cut and make our arm how we want it, and we'll just use this same joint, and I'll get me a piece of pipe this size and do whatever I need to do to extend that, and you know, safely, and do it right. And everything should work out good. You know, I like it. I like the way it looks. It's in there where it needs to be, over close to the top of our radius rod, so we don't have to worry about the tire coming around and hitting it. And time we get done with the back here at the box and everything, it's going to come in some, so it should it actually should work out just right. And you know, we're just slowly getting closer and closer to that frame, which we knew that, but that's, you know, a good thing we didn't go ahead and set any kind of a height, which we've got most of our stuff on. We still got starter and alternator, but one exhaust manifold, but you know, a lot of the stuff's here. But anyway, I'm going to keep at it, and we'll try to get this mounted this evening. See how this goes. I don't know, may or may not, depends on if I have to leave or not, but we'll at least try to get started on the mounting bracket. I'm going to use the 1/2-inch plate to mount it, and it's just a used piece I have. So we'll get it drilled and start getting it mounted, and I got to make bushings for it, and because of the way that I mount it. And I think that's it. We're moving right on. Alright, show you more. You know folks, it's been plumb near like Christmas around here lately. Got 2 more packages in the mail today. One being a fuel pump from Paul Jeffries in New Jersey. And he had this on his 29 Ford with 2 different FE engines that he had ran in it, and he took it off when he put electronic fuel injection on. So we're going to put this on the 29 Roadster, and that will definitely work out, and that'll save me 30-40 bucks, whatever. So I really appreciate that, and that's gonna help us out a lot. So thanks for sending it. Okay, second thing is something that was sent to me from Doug from Iowa, and this is the neatest thing. I've never seen one, never knew they made them, and I think it's neat as can be. Okay, this is a gauge, and it's sort of like a scale, and it'll do up to 32 ounces. But this is not what you would think it would be. It's not for weighing anything. This is actually made to go on your windshield. And then you take your windshield wiper and you put it on, and we've got 8 ounces of pressure. So 8 ounces of pressure would be perfect for an 8-inch wiper. It's 1 ounce per inch, and that's a little low. It's about 7, so it's a little bit below. So when you came into the service station and I tested this, it'd be time to sell you a new wiper arm, because the spring is inside here, and you know, once they stretch out, they don't push against the windshield as hard. So that's exactly what that's for. And the neat thing about it is, I guess if the customer is sitting in the seat, you know, when they pull in to fill you up and check your oil and all that good stuff, you can actually see it from the inside too. So your customer could also know how many ounces it was pushing. That is just as neat as can be. I've never seen one, didn't know they make them. But it's a Telltale wiper arm pressure indicator. And Doug, I appreciate that, and I'll put that up. I like it. Love old stuff like this. This will go in the hardware store. So, and we might use it. Well, matter of fact, we will use it. So we know this one here, it's a little weak. So that is neat as can be. Okay, so we made our plate that matches these bolt holes, and instead of mounting the plate on the bottom side, we're going to mount it on this side by using spacers. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the spacers out now. We're going to get them out of this 1-inch solid, 2-inch spacers. I'm going to cut 3 of them, and I'll cut them a little over length, and then I'll straighten them out in the lathe, and we're going to turn them down to get them clean. Anyway, that's the plan. Let me get at it and see if we can't get this box mounted. Got our plate bolted on with our spacers, and these spacers are made out of 1-inch solid. Don't make them out of conduit, thin stuff, anything like that. And everything's here just temporary. We're going to cut up into here, and then we're going to cut this out, and this is going to tilt up, of course, and then go down over the frame a little bit. And once we get it in place, then we'll weld it where we want it, and then we'll work on the arm will be next. Okay folks, I've got it tacked here in place, and I got my other exhaust manifold and stuck it up in there to make sure that we wasn't going to have any interference, and it actually comes out and comes forward. So if I mount that box there, it's actually going to make it look like it was made for it, because the exhaust sort of follows through this hole right here, and then we'll come down, and then this one will come back and come down, run both pipes out that center. Alright, appreciate everybody watching. Until next time, bye. See if we can find Nana. I don't know where Nana's at. Well, there you are. Come running. Alright, I'll give you some treats. I need to do some CAT scanning. That steering gearbox. Alright.